and that I was this worthy person of doing some confident, crazy things in my life. So back in 2012, that was one of the pivotal things, becoming a Zumba instructor. Although I must say I never taught. I wanted to do it so I could do it with my students, my elementary students, so I could, yeah, have fun with them, like
That's
dancing
fun.
class.
And you never taught a
Right on.
class?
I never taught a session to the public.
That's awesome.
Wow.
I used to have my previous name was Maze. So I used to always use that name for, like, amazing this and doing amazing that. And so we would move with Maze at the lunch hour and do Zumba. So we'd have lots of fun, elementary students. And then I think one of the next big pivotal times in my life was when I decided to take charge of what I ate. So back in 2018, started a course program, year-long program, which means a lot about dedication, called Healthy Transformations, and learning about food and what I eat and what it does for me. And took it for 4 years in a
Wow.
row, like full 4 years. And we'd meet once a month, I think it was. And it was a doctor and a health behavior coach, which so many behaviors are involved in food.
Sure.
So yeah, so that was another big pivotal moment in my life. And then in 2020, deciding to tell my husband I needed to move on from our marriage, because I was feeling, as I like to say it, the pot was kind of boiling and the lid was on tight, and it
Oh,
wasn't a good feeling, a good situation. And so I separated in 2020 and met Scott in 2021 during personal development work. And I think he shared about that as quite a few experiences he had during that week-long course where we had met. And yeah, I've been on a growth journey ever since then.
right on.
Yes.
Very cool. So you've written some books. So give us a little insight about the books you've written, and are they self help? Are they about what you just kind of talked about? Because again, when we have people on our show, we want to kind of organically promote you and drive people to where they can find your stuff. I don't like spilling the beans for those who write books, because we want people to buy your book instead of learning everything about it here. So you can give us little hints and tips. So what was the first book you wrote, and what was that about?
Yeah, I have it here. So during my one of the personal development classes that Scott and I took,
Okay.
we were setting goals. So one of mine, because I was so blown away, I think, speechless. I don't know what the word was about Scott and I's first year together. And
Okay.
people were noticing, like, oh my gosh, like, what is going on with you? Like, in a good way.
Yeah.
So like I was showing up glowing, really. That's what people were saying. And like, you should write a book about it. So it
Yeah.
kind of put a little thought in my head. And so I wrote a goal to myself that I would write about our first year. And
Okay.
for me, it was about being okay with being heard, what I
Okay.
thought, because I really feel like in my life, I didn't do that. I didn't express myself.
Okay.
Yeah, so being able to write the words I wanted to write, say what I was feeling, share what I was, how I was shifting in life. And so
Right.
this is not a previous marriage bash at all. This is
Okay.
literally about the week or the day I met Scott at that week-long personal development class, and the growth journey that I was on and what we did together, what we were on. And it's funny because when I started writing the book, and probably, I don't know, a few months before that, and I started writing it, I thought I was going to title it Why Scott? Like, that's what I thought. Why did I choose this guy? Like, why Scott? And when I started writing, and good author knows this, is that when you start writing, sometimes things shift when you write. And I was like, I don't have enough for that. It was more about me and my growth and my feelings,
Okay.
and that I was worthy enough to share them. And I knew that if I share them, then someone else will find some inspiration in that for their own life,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so when I wrote this, and I'll read one thing to you. When I wrote
Okay.
this, Scott and I both felt within our like first couple weeks of being together, that word soulmate, like I know when a lot of people kind of go, soulmate, like that sounds so cliche or
Now,
whatever.
now, before you jump into what you're going to read,
Yeah.
so people understand, because people may not have listened to Scott's show or saw Scott's show.
Yeah.
So, give us a little background about Scott, because
Yeah.
it'll help understand what you're writing about and who you are as well. We know who you are, but give us a little background about Scott, because obviously this whole book is about you and Scott's first year.
Yeah,
So
it
just
is. About-
a real 30-second thing. Scott was, you know,
the during that first day, I believe it was, of that week-long personal development course, we were asked, what do you want in a relationship? And at that point, I was just coming out of my former relationship. And so I had this long list of what I did not want. Like
Okay.
that was very obvious to me. And so I'm like, let's switch then. So if I know I don't want that, what's the opposite? So I started making this list. And
Okay.
quite literally, we were in this group of, I think it was around 70 people.
Okay.
And I felt this strong, I don't know, connection, pull, or whatever the word was when I read my list, and I literally looking at Scott going, like, that's the list. He's the list for some reason. And I couldn't quite put my finger on it. But he, during that week, stood up in front of that class of like men and women, 70
Okay.
people, and this combination for me of this rugged, strong man and vulnerability. So those two things together during that course, I'm like, that's my list. Like that's, and then found out more about him along the way during the course. So I remember after one of the first stories he told, and I know I'm a very sensitive person. Like I have very kind of tuned in to people's feelings and emotions, because when he shared, I literally had this feeling of, I felt like I just met a 5-year-old boy, the
Wow.
5-year-old boy, when he shares. And
Yeah.
so
Okay.
I actually went up to him after that first session. I didn't know the guy. I'm like, can I tell you something?
Yeah.
He goes, sure. I said, I felt like I met a 5-year-old boy. He goes, oh. And then nothing else came of that. But it was me deciding to say something that I was feeling, which I don't do that. I used to always put it under the rug, right? So that I talked about the soulmate, and I kept trying to find the best meaning of a soulmate.
Okay.
And this Bianca Spiracino, and I'd never heard of this lady, and she's like, soulmate isn't someone who completes you. And so I knew that. I knew that this person, like whoever my soulmate was not completing me. A soulmate is someone who inspires you to complete yourself. And there's more to that saying. But I was like, oh yeah, that's what's inspiring me for this book, right?
I agree with
So-
that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, like it's someone who, holds up that mirror, is your rah-rah section, your cheerleader, your, the person who, when you're having a rough time, they're there to help you and they're there to support you. And
Well,
and
you can't
just-
count on somebody else to make you happy. That's where people that's the biggest mistake people make, is I'm looking for that person that's going to make me happy. You have to make yourself happy first, right?
Yeah.
That person is going to fulfill whatever little piece is missing maybe, but you have to be happy with your being first.
100%. And I've had people say to me too, well, and I hear about it a lot. Well, you have to have some sort of complete whole self-love in order to love someone else. And I'm like, I think when I met Scott, I realized years later that we were both wanting to be loved. And I think
Oh.
that was the connection.
I
That
can
was
relate
the
to that as
soulmate.
well, for sure.
Yeah. And so I got great response. I've got amazing feedback from this first book that literally within months I was like, can I write another one?
When
where-
did you
now
write
where
the
can
first one?
Yeah.
So-
So what's the name of the first book, and where can people find it?
A Year of Love, and you can find it on Amazon.
Okay.
Very, very happy that I did get Amazon bestseller as well with this book.
Congratulations.
Thank
So
you.
to be
Yeah.
to be an Amazon bestseller, how many books have you sold on Amazon?
It's about reaching various groups, or not groups, that's not the right, subject areas. on Amazon in a day. So it's kind of like a special one-day event where you sell your ebook and you're able to reach all the quotas on all these all these subject areas on Amazon. So that's how you do that. So yeah, after the year of love, Scott and I, after that first year together, we had made a goal to go to Thailand, and I think he told you a little bit about Thailand. And
Yep.
so the second book is 6 months really in Thailand, 6 months of love in Thailand. Again, is on Amazon. Also, both books are also at our website, which is forwardwalkingchoices.com, which Scott coined when he
Yep.
first began as a coach, a life coach. But the first book was all about Scott being my soulmate and
Okay.
realizing and going through that growth. And it wasn't until I literally wrote the last chapter of my book where it says, yes, I am worthy, did I realize, oh my God, I'm my own soulmate. Like, I want the best for me. And so one of the things that I absolutely love, and maybe you write in your journal or diary, but I wrote books instead, is that the growth process through the writing process has just been like mind blowing to me.
Yeah, I used to journal probably junior year in high school, probably till I was like, I don't know, 30, and journaling on a daily basis. One, because I wanted to be a writer, and then two, because then I started, playing in bands with Mike and whatnot, and so the more you journal and the more consistent you are with it, then the more garbage you work through. That's in your soul, and then part of that journaling was writing poetry in the ballad format and stuff, which is where a lot of my songs originated from, at least the ideas. So there is definitely power in writing and doing it consistently, because when you write something down, I forget what it is, but when you're learning and you write something down, and even though you're not necessarily learning when you're journaling and writing a book, but you retain it more.
Yeah, it increases your retention so much more,
Right.
like a percentage.
Yeah, and then the ideas you formulate, it's hard to rebel against your own ideas. So if you wake up and decide, oh, I'm gonna work out every day, 8 o'clock in the morning, and consistently do that, and then once it becomes a habit, it's hard to kind of just rebel against that, because you've ingrained it in your daily routine so much that it's a part of what you do. So it's the same concept with journaling, same concept with, when Mike practices the guitar and things like that. So it's interesting how you can evolve
that
from
word
just
purged
writing.
you just used.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most people don't purge
Right.
Yeah.
whatever's bothering them, right? It just builds up and it builds
Yeah.
up, and they never deal with it ever. If you write it down, like Chris said, not only do you retain it better, you work it out better, but you get rid of it too, right? You
Yeah.
can move on to something else. You're not dwelling on that one thing constantly.
Right?
Yeah, it's
Like-
that release, right? So it's the release of the current time, the present time, and you can go back to that and go, oh, I've shifted from that, and that's okay.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
James Hetfield recently was quoted as he was on stage talking about the darkness and stuff. He was actually doing an introduction to Fade to Black, which Fade to Black's about suicide.
James Hetfield
And it-
is lead singer of Metallica, in case you've been
Right.
living under a rock.
But the cool thing about it, because from an image standpoint, you think James Hetfield is this big badass,
Mighty.
mighty,
Nothing can
fucking
knock
tough.
me down. Yeah.
Right. I'm ironclad. I'm the lead singer of one of the greatest heavy metal bands that ever exist next to Black Sabbath, right? And he's up there talking about Fade to Black and how it's about suicide. And as he goes on the introduction of the song, he wraps it up before the song starts. Basically, talk that shit out. Like, everybody has darkness. Everybody has demons. Nobody's perfect, and if you come across as perfect, you're lying to yourself and the world, because you don't exist. It doesn't happen. Yeah. But it was cool for me to see him be like number one, he was vulnerable in the fact that in the same kind of tour, his daughter came on stage with him and they sang Nothing Else Matters together acoustically, and he wept because it was such a powerful moment with his daughter.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Right, and the reviews of that it was haunting and just so raw and emotional. So you have that part coming out now finally because he has worked through so much of his shit because he is an alcoholic. He did have problems, I think, with some substances other than that.
Oh, yeah.
Don't quote me.
No,
But
he did.
but the fact that he's been able to stand in front of hundreds of thousands of people and be like, talk your shit out. The power that he has now, being open and vulnerable about his struggles and his journey in life of sobriety and not being sober, things like that. To me, it's monumental. It's somebody that has that much authority and that much of a presence alone, just for what he does. But then to be able to start educating people and dropping that message, I thought was a fantastic transformation of him as a human. I mean, we don't know him personally, so we don't know. But just
he's been he's been public enough and vulnerable enough that, I agree with Chris in that's one of the reasons we do this podcast. He'll wear a shirt every now and then that says "Be kind," and the rest of that is, everyone is fighting a battle that you know nothing about, right?
Right.
I try and keep in mind that person that's being an asshole to me that day, maybe he's having that bad day, right?
Right.
If it continues and you keep coming at me, we're going to have a different conversation. But you got to stop and think, there's a lot of pressure going on right now. And those moments from somebody that we look up to as a musician, that's going to help, the kid that's struggling,
Yep.
That guy, he has the same problems I do.
Oh yeah, totally. And it's when you were telling that story, Chris, about, you get up and you do like he gets up on the stage and he shares this and then he does this and then he does this. And I go like this because I've one thing a lot of people say is that you step out of your comfort zone to do stuff. And for me, it feels like if you step out, you're going back in and digressing. So I've kind of learned this feeling or adapted this feeling of I'm actually stretching my comfort zone. So I'm like learning new things all the time. And like, even for myself, I look back at like when I first met Scott in 2021, and it's like I was doing some live videos because I'm like,
Okay.
I've got a book coming out. I got to learn to like speak without a script or something, right?
Yeah.
And I look back at some of those videos and go, wow, she was brave. She was timid. She was scared, but she was brave. And now it's like, wow, people say to me, you come across and I can speak for 20 minutes on a video and talk about whatever. And it's like, whoa. Wow, times have shifted because I stretched my comfort zone.
I can relate to that as well, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I've done the same thing because when I started doing videos in 2003. I wasn't as I don't know, bumbly, because I had so much time on stage with the band and I was an actor, so I was in front of people from a theater standpoint. But it's evolved since I started doing it, for sure, which everybody does. The more you do something, the better you get. And there's that old saying that you have to do something 10,000 times to be an expert at it. But then you still continue learning things as you go along because you may think you're an expert, and then all of a sudden, somebody's like, oh, epiphany, I need to do that now.
Well, I like that term, stretching your boundaries, right?
Yeah, that's a really good, I agree.
It's a great way to look at it because you don't want to go out and then, like you said, come back in. We want to go out and continue to keep going forward, right?
Yeah. And the other thing that also, or picture in my head that also helps me with growth is understanding that I was born perfect. So we're all born perfect. That's
are.
the feeling, right? That
Yeah.
We're all born perfect. And I think it's Dr. Maté talks about authenticity and attachment. So this is the visual that I get, is that I was born perfect, and over time people slathered and taped and super glued all their thoughts, beliefs, blah 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 on me, and now it's almost my job, if you want to call it that, to peel back the layers and find that inside again and find that amazingness inside, because it's been altered. The look has been altered over my life.
I can relate to that as well. Sometimes I say I feel like I've lived like 5 people's lifetimes, right? And I don't remember a couple of them.
Yeah, and that may be.
That's because you're an old soul, brother.
Yeah, there you go. And I did also want to mention, I have besides the first 2 books, A Year of Love and 6 Months of Love, I do have a third one that I'm currently writing right now, and I'm super excited about it's what it brings as well. And I discovered a big thing while I was writing it too, is love is the ultimate for me. Love and gratitude, both of those really together. But it's interesting how like these themes have been going through my life, and self-love is the big one, and then love for whatever is outside of me. So the title of the third book is called Love, just love, and it's
Love.
called the infinite possibilities that can transform everything. So
That's
it's
great.
understanding that we can have that in our lives.
Yeah.
And so I'm super excited, and yeah, it is about the release or the purging, like you said, Mike, of the thoughts, the feelings. That's what books are for me. And I'd mentioned I was a teacher as well. I'm still a teacher. However, I don't do it permanent in my own classroom. I substitute teach, but I thought I would give writing kids books a try. And way back when I was telling you I did that program called Healthy Transformations in 2018, I learned a lot about food, and I'm still learning about food and what to eat and what's great for my body and really listening to my body. But
Right.
my kids book is called I Know, because kids know everything. That's kind of, like I know what to do. I know.
Yeah, one of little man's best responses to things when we talk in the morning is, "Yes, I know." Like, I say it's time to go inside. Yes, I know.
I know.
You need to eat your sausage dog. Yes, I know. You
I
need
know.
to
I
eat
need to
waffle.
pick
Yes,
up
I
your
know.
toys. I know.
Then your
Yes, I know.
comeback needs to start being, then why aren't you doing it?
Right.
Just okay, do it now. Or
Well,
what's
the
up?
first time we did it, it was such a subtle little cute response to something. It's just like, right on. Okay.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
very nonchalantly,
Yes, I know.
Yes, I know.
So,
Yeah.
so my hope with this book is to encourage conversations, because it's really meant for young kids, like 5 to 7 year olds, and it's meant to be read with parents or read in a classroom. And it's like this was my drawings, but this is it's to encourage conversation. Like there's a shark with the word no there, and
Right.
there's chips floating all around him, and just the question why. So to encourage conversation, and at the end there just is a brief on what do we really need as people, what do we really need to eat and consume, water being the top one. So
Yes.
yeah, because as a teacher I witnessed a lot of spikes and lows and just mental health and social dysregulation, and when you see that lunch bag come in with like sugar and
Yeah.
more sugar and all, it's really hard. So the last few years of my class, I actually started doing a couple of fun things. The first of the school year, I would always ask my students, what's your favorite song? So
Oh,
you guys like that. So
Oh, yeah.
I actually had them pick their favorite song. So
right on.
24 students, 24 songs. And every month we would do 3 or 4 songs, and I would choreograph the song.
Okay.
And by the end of the month, we invited all parents, grandparents,
Oh,
siblings
cool.
in for like the 45 minutes last hour on a Friday. And we
Right
would dance to the 3 songs, and then we would have a veggie social where we would pass out veggies that we had cut up in the
Cool.
morning. Like this is grade 1. And it was like the best thing I ever did. And then I, of course, promoted veggies and lettuce, because I look at those two things differently, but lettuce and veggies on your desk all day. If you want to eat all day, have veggies and lettuce on your desk all day. Go for it. A few people took me up on it, but parents loved that kids never came home with still a full container of veggies and lettuce, always empty. So they always ate it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I have a bag of carrots and celery in my refrigerator at my office, just saying.
I love veggies.
So
We're all in
yeah,
agreement.
Yeah. So, whenever I go to the office and I'm a little hungry, it's like, oh yeah, I have, but I always bring my lunch though, so I never set myself up to fail when it comes to eating and whatnot. I'm always prepared because I eat very clean. I don't do
Yeah.
fast food and all that kind of stuff because it's just, it's just makes you feel like crap.
I
You
know.
know?
Tell me about it. And it's not worth it. It's like a hangover. It's terrible. Like,
Yep.
yeah, it's interesting. When I had met Scott, I was actually on the verge of not having any more alcohol. Not that I was a raging alcoholic or anything
Right,
like that, or
right,
had lots
right.
to drink. But it was like I would have one in a month or something and go, that wasn't worth it. And then I met Scott, who's been sober for 23-ish years now.
Right, right.
And I met him and he didn't drink. I'm like, bonus, yes. And then he's telling me he's a diabetic, so he really watches what he eats. I'm like, yes. I'm like, this seems all perfect.
Right.
Yeah. Although he loved his coffee, and I just quit the coffee about 3 weeks ago.
Oh
Oh,
no.
why'd you do that?
Um, I've been having some weird health things go on, and so I'm eliminating things that could be affecting or whatever my body. So I may
Okay,
reintroduce it because I know I love my coffee too.
gotcha. Yeah, I drink 1 cup of coffee a day. That's it, with
Whatever
almond milk
fits
in
in
it.
this
And,
is all I
you know,
drink every day, but I'm not giving
and
that
I,
up.
yeah, yeah. Oh, and I drink tons of water too. So
Yeah, and our bodies are all different. Like our
Yeah.
bodies can
That
take
is
some
so
things,
true.
and it's just we're all different. Same with
Hmm.
even what we do on a daily basis, right? Our bodies
Yeah.
can either absorb or reject or deflect or
Yep.
whatever the energies and the things that we do in a day. And I'm just rediscovering I need more downtime. I need more me time because I can go, 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 go
Right.
on a treadmill. So yeah, kind of thing. So yeah, it's always learning, always growing.
Well, that's an important point too. You have to take time for yourself. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of people don't schedule that into their day either.
No, no, self-love is very important. Very important. Now, I know I shared with you my first kids book. I'm also in the process, just about to send my second kids book to the publisher.
Cool.
It's though a memory I had when I was a teacher of a kindergarten student, Lily. And I don't want to ruin the whole story, but it's called One Cookie at a Time, because she came to me. So as a kindergarten student, she came to
Okay.
me and said, "I want to raise money for the children's hospital."
Oh.
And I was like,
Aw.
"Oh!" And we were in a what's called a Leader in Me school, so
Yeah.
seeing children as leaders. And
Cool.
so she came to me, so I was like, "Yeah, well, go home, make a plan, come back." So literally, she went home with mom, made a plan, brought it back the next day, and by the next week, she sold 200 cookies in school,
Wow.
kindergarten.
That's
Like,
Wow.
impressive.
so I had to write about that story. Yeah.
That is cool. How much were the cookies? $10 each?
No, just $1 each, dollar each. But yeah, so she made $200 that she was able
Wow.
to donate to the Children's Hospital. Yeah, so
That's
that
cool.
it was really
For a
amazing.
kindergartner, that's impressive.
I know.
It is.
Yeah. That's outstanding.
I've been very fortunate to have a lot. I should say a lot. I'm going to say actually some very neat children come through my doors, and one that it makes me emotional, but it makes me very blessed. That I knew that I taught.
Yeah.
Her name was Diamond. And so every time I see Diamond, the word diamond is everywhere all the time.
Yeah.
Yes, when I taught kindergarten back in 2000 and early 2000s,
Okay.
by November, like we go September to June, and by the school year, and by November, December, she wasn't feeling well, and she had received a cancer diagnosis in my kindergarten year. And
Oh,
wow, I learned a lot of lessons that year,
Oh.
a lot of lessons,
Yeah.
and
It's
yeah,
nice when you have when students remember you or touch you, because my wife's a teacher. She's going on, this is her 20th year, and she's in 6th grade. Started in 3rd grade, kind of worked her way up, but it's come full circle to where we've gone into places, and it's like there's one of her students that's an adult now.
yeah,
So regardless of what kind of impact they have on you when you're teaching them, it's later in life, it's fun to kind of just run into them, and then from my vantage point, watching them react to seeing her kind of shows the impact that she had on their life, which is neat.
true.
So your story is a little more, I don't know, sad because of the cancer stuff, but
Yeah,
a lot of people don't realize how ingrained teachers become with their students. You know, parents, you know, they're always kind of harping and bitching and moaning, you know, if, for whatever reason, especially nowadays, especially in America anyway, how teachers are perceived
And how entitled parents think
right,
they are.
right, and it just, you know, like she's dealing with some stuff now with some parents that just like, because I hear the stories and it's just like, you got to be kidding me, like just the simplest things, the simplest rules they have in schools, like you can't have your cell phone. And you know, everybody has a cell phone now, but kids can't have cell phones. They can't bring them out of classrooms. And
So what do they do
Yeah.
with them in Arizona?
Well,
Here they
they're
put them
supposed
in a bag.
they're supposed to be in the backpack. When you walk on campus, you're supposed to put the phone in the backpack and not touch it. And you know, there's certain children that don't want to adhere to that policy. So, and then they get caught, and then they get the phone taken away, and then it gets sent to the office, and then, you know, then the parents get involved because why are you taking so? Like, really, it's a rule. It's a simple rule. I mean, you can't have a cell phone for many different reasons. You know,
Disruption being the
Right.
biggest one.
right, and then cheating on tests because, you know, like smart watches. A lot of kids have Apple Watches now. They make you take the Apple Watch off because the Apple Watch you can text, the Apple Watch you can have phone calls. So it's technology is geared, you know, towards disruption big time in schools, and then the teacher's the bad guy when they have to enforce those rules, and the parents lose their shit because the teacher's doing their job. And it's like, okay, why don't you just step back and realize that your child is causing a disruption for the other 20 students in the classroom because they don't listen. And so then you get the parents pointing fingers at the teachers like, well, why are you being so mean? It's like, really?
But then
It's
you
not
look
mean.
at, if you know how I look at things, so I'm going to take it all the way down to the nut.
Yeah.
Right? I understand our education system was set up to make good factory workers, to make good soldiers, right? We
Yep.
stole the Prussian education system, which goes way back, and their education system was to make disciplined, don't ask questions, and follow
Right.
the system kind of students, right?
Yep.
So asking Lisa as a teacher, you guys have a fairly similar education system. What would you do to change that? Because we're asking kids, and you said it earlier, our diets and the way that we feed our kids now, we're pumping them full of sugar and then tell them
Yep.
to go sit for 8 hours in a classroom
Right?
and be attentive, right?
Yeah.
How would you change that and still educate the kids?
Well, I think one of the things I learned in a school that was amazing, that was that Leader in Me school. If you ever heard of Sean Covey, Stephen Covey, that sort of stuff.
Yep,
So
yep,
Seven
yep.
Habits
Yeah,
of Happy
absolutely.
Kids.
Yep.
Yeah, so when you have a top-down healthy place, so for example, the principal I had at that school was proactive. She synergized with us, the staff. She, you know, it wasn't this top-down control. It was about treating you as a human, and you know, so creating a space where people, teachers, parents, kids, everybody are heard, however, still having appropriate expectations. So,
Yeah.
for me, I know it's been one of these, like, because you do hear a lot of the negative about school. However, I was very fortunate to be in a school where the principal looked at me as a professional, and at the same time, I was growing as a person, and I extended that to my students. So, for example, I was doing that personal development class. It was a 90-day class with Scott, and we were doing goal setting. And one of my goals was to do a plank.
Nice.
Guess
Right
what
on.
I did? Involve
plank.
my students.
Oh, right
Grade
on.
one, we ended up getting up to a minute, I think, 11 seconds for a
Nice.
front plank and side planks.
That's awesome.
Because,
Wow.
because we had goals, we had interests, and for me, I speak what's going on in my head. So I would speak out to them. I remember one day, and this like sticks with me so much. This is how important our words are.
Yeah.
Like even when we were beginning, Chris, and you were having trouble with your music and you called it a stupid song, I get little like triggers go off in my head going, no, not stupid.
It wasn't stupid. It was the stupid. I just couldn't stop I couldn't stop it. So that was it's obviously
I
not stupid.
totally
But yeah,
understand.
I get what you're saying for sure.
Totally understand. So we were doing this goal of planks and we were getting up to a minute and it was challenging. Like we would
Yeah.
add 10 seconds every week, right? To this
Mm-hmm.
up to get to the minute. And we were getting up to the minute goal and kids were like, "Oh, I can't do this." Like, the whining was coming out, right? And it was like, I sat them down after. I'm like, "Oh my goodness. When you guys started saying I can't and you whine, all of a sudden I couldn't do it."
Mm-hmm.
So I said, let's try. Everybody encourage everybody on. Say, we can do it. We can do it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And da, 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 da. We had no problem. No
Right on.
problem.
I
So
love that.
understanding, yeah, like at that young of an age,
The power
the
of positive
words you
thinking.
say, yeah, it's so powerful, whether it's the words you're saying to yourself, words you're saying to your friends, words you're saying. So it's like, yeah, it was a great awareness for me. It was
Yeah.
so cool. And yeah, because I was healthy, my classroom was healthier. And
Right.
thus, yeah. So that trickle down effect, right?
It
So
seems like in your teaching style, you kept them hyper engaged. And I think that's super important that the kids feel like they're part of the program, right?
Yeah.
One of the first things that we cut out, two of the first things that we cut out in the American education system, come to find out were the two most important, the arts and music, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because those are the two things that engage both sides of your brain.
Yep.
Music is
and
one of the few
physical
things.
education.
That's
And
the
Yeah,
other thing.
yeah,
I was going
yeah.
to mention that next.
Yeah.
PE was the third thing that became unimportant. Now you're literally asking these kids to sit. They're sitting at lunch, they're sitting in the classroom, they're sitting because they don't get outside to have any kind of physical activity. They don't go get to paint or draw. They can't play how are they getting by? They don't know how to play a recorder. We all learned how to play the recorder.
Right. Right.
Or at least the ukulele. I think that was something we tried.
Ours was the recorder. That's the running joke in America.
Yeah. And the other thing that I know we don't think about, but I've been thinking about it more lately because I was desiring to actually have my feet in grass. And we don't think about this because, like students, we ask them to wear rubberized sneakers all day, runners all day.
Yep.
Like, oh, like they're not in tune with nature. So I actually used to take my sketchbook. So we would had these big sketchbooks, and we would take them outside for like an hour and sit in the grass and draw what we see, draw what we feel. Like
Nice.
sometimes just those simple things like ground you or make you see something in a different way. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So little man, kindergartner. So you have to get greens. If he gets greens, he's a good day, and he gets yellows because he likes to hit. So when
Like
he
with his
hits,
fists?
yeah. I don't. It's well. Here's the thing. When I
Let's
dropped
hook
him
him up
off,
with Jake.
when I, well, that's part of the problem because Jake will roughhouse with him. His dad roughhouses with him. His little brother, they all roughhouse. They're boys, right? So, and he has a little bit of speech issues. So that I think is kind of a precursor to the problem because I think he gets frustrated when somebody doesn't understand what he's saying.
Of course.
And then so that, but at the same time, when I dropped him off Monday, I had to go back because I forgot his water bottle. So, and it's 2 minutes away. So I went back, and then when I went back, him and about 6, 7 other kids are all playing criminals and cops. I'm like, well, that explains where the punching comes into play,
Right.
right?
We're playing a
Um,
game.
Right. So in doing so, because he got 2 yellows in a row, so when he's got consequences, because I have him every day, Lisa, from 6 to 8, I take him to school, and it's been that way since he's 3 weeks old. So he comes over and he's like, he wants to turn on the TV. I was like, no TV today. And he's like, well, why? And I was like, well, because you got a yellow yesterday. I said, I told you, you can't. You get yellows, there's consequences here. And so I kind of, do my little thing and kind of help him understand that if somebody hit him and he came home and I found out somebody hit him, I would be sad. So I said, so you're making that other kid that you hit, his pop sad. And so instead of watching TV, he ended up, because we live on an acre and we have chickens, and it was irrigation the night before, so he ended up on the back of the couch looking out the backyard window. And I was like, what are you doing? He's like, it's a movie out back, because the chickens were frolicking, the birds were kind of flying around everywhere, because when the irrigation comes, all the bugs come up to the top of the irrigation. And so they're all having a field day. So it ended up like legit for about 15, 20 minutes. We were just sitting there on the couch looking out back because he said it was a movie in the backyard. So I thought that was kind of a brilliant little thing for him to kind of do because we're not watching TV now. And when we watch TV, it's stuff about NASA and planets because he wants to be an astronaut. So it's not like we're, boob tubing it with stupid shit. But it was fun that he came up with that concept and like going outside with your drawing pad, right? Then you're kind of living in that moment, which was neat. So this morning before we turned on the YouTube to watch some stuff about planets and Iceland's lava because he loves lava. We watched a little bit outside time and it was kind of cool. I never
Well, let me
thought of
ask
it
you
before.
this.
Yeah.
Did you? A lot of parents, because they're stressed and they're trying to get through their day, you
Yep.
get a lot of intensity towards children, which children, they just freeze up, right? What I'm hearing from you, did you talk to your own kids that way, like rationally?
No.
And,
No,
Okay.
I didn't because like we talked yesterday we were on 600-pound podcast. I'm a first time dad. So now I'm a first time, I'm not old enough to be a grandpa. So I call it Papa.
I was going to be impressed if you did.
I didn't because I didn't, when you're raising kids, and do you have kids, Lisa?
Yes, two, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So when you're raising your own kids, you have all the pressures of the world on your shoulder because you're entrusted to take these tiny little things and mold them into good contributing human beings, So I think the stress with that, because Nikki and I, neither one of us had any real example. I had no example of a father. She had no real example of a mother because her mother passed away when she was young. And then her dad kind of kicked her to the curb and she came out here with her step monster when she was 12. So we just were kind of flying solo. There was no village helping us. So as I would say with Skylar, absolutely not. With Skylar, I wasn't. I was freaked out. It was a little kid, and you had nothing. I had nothing to compare myself to. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. You had no foundation, right?
Right. So when Jake came around, it was 5 years later. And there were moments with him that I would catch myself, kind of like that baseball story I told, that was wrong, but my intention was good. And then when he and I talked about it, I realized, okay, we framed this properly now. So now I know not to do that, not that it was bad, but it embarrassed him. So we kind of created a level playing field where we kind of understood the boundaries and things. So once that kind of came up, which I think he was about 7 or 8, then I probably, my conversations were geared more towards like with little man. It's just like, hey, reverse the role. If you get hit every day and you come home and tell me you get hit, that's going to hurt my feelings because you got to talk at a kindergartner's level, right? You can't use big words and big circumstances. It's like when you get hit at school, it hurts my feelings, and I'm your pop-up, and I don't want you to get hit. I don't want you to get hurt. So I'm hoping that kind of registered with them. I don't know. Time will
Well,
tell.
I just think that's important for parents to hear because I've never seen a situation get solved by screaming at a child, right?
True.
If you
And
talk
I
to
did-
them
yeah,
like they're little
yeah.
human beings, you
Yeah.
got to just put
Yeah.
put it into perspective. They're a human being too. They're just at a different place in life, right? You still have to talk to them rationally.
The one thing I've learned and I incorporated with Anthony that I didn't necessarily do with my kids was I go down to his level.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, but physically, I go down to his level.
Yeah.
So I'm not
Oh,
looking
okay,
down
yeah.
and he's not looking up.
That's
So-
important too.
Right. So when I coached Jake and Skylar's sports teams, I never did that, and it didn't dawn on me till we got Anthony into flag football, and then I had all these tiny little kids because they're 3 to 4 year olds. So I just sat, crisscross applesauce, and and then we were all eye level, and then the engagement I got because of that,
Yeah.
it was a noticeable difference from when I was teaching Jake when he was doing flag football and Skylar when she was doing softball, because I was always standing. So
Yeah, now you're
even-
talking to them, not at them.
Right.
Right.
So that's one of those things, life hack parents, get down to your child's level and talk to them as opposed to them looking down on them. Because I think and you're a writer and a teacher, Lisa, you may relate to this, looking down on them and them having to look up to you, I think can be intimidating.
Well, and two
Especially-
things that Lisa brought up, and you're making this point now, is make
Yeah.
sure that they're engaged with you. Don't
Yes.
talk at them to,
Correct.
don't just scream orders, or even if you're talking, don't just say, here's the way things are going to be. Make
Right.
them be a part of the conversation. Like you asked him, why are you hitting them? Why
Yeah.
is this going on? Don't just say you can't do that and leave it at that and you're in
Right.
trouble. You're in
Right.
trouble for hitting and you're grounded for a week and now the conversation's over.
Well, and
My,
see, our
my
dynamic,
parents
yeah,
would sit us down and we would have to be part of the conversation.
sure. And when
Right.
he gets, as he matures, then that level of involvement will increase because he'll have a better understanding of it. When he first did it, I asked him, why did he? I don't remember. I'm like, you do remember. You can remember when Uncle Jake is gonna buy you a Power Ranger that he told you 7 months ago. So I don't believe that you can't remember. And then that kind of opens that door a little bit. And then I was frustrated, or was angry or something. I was like, okay, well, there's a better way to deal with your anger. Just step back, take a deep breath, or go find your teacher and say, hey, I'm upset with Johnny because Johnny's not listening to me, whatever the case is. But it's one of those things that I've learned with raising both my kids and now having Anthony and Trip, the other grandson. You've evolved as an adult. You've evolved as a problem solver. You've evolved as just a human and how you interact with people, because the more you've done it, the more experience you have. So that's my thing for any parents listening and watching this. Go down to the level, because I still do it with Anthony. I still do it with Trip. When I go outside and they're there, I drop to the ground. I literally drop to my knees. So we're this level when they're coming at me. Especially when they're running to give me a hug and they're running, across half the yard, which is an acre. I just drop on my ground, come on. But I think it connects better with the child, and I think, kind of a subconsciously thing. You are on their level now, even though it's just eyesight, because then you're not doing this and they're not doing this and you're not looking that down. And I'm 6 feet tall. Little man's, I think, 4 feet, but as he was growing up from 0 to where he's at now, I'm a mammoth figure in his eyes.
Yeah, you're
right?
a giant.
Right. So I think that the intimidation factor goes away, even though you don't mean to be an intimidating factor as a parent or a grandparent, but that size difference is just, it's natural to be like, oh,
That never was more in perspective for me than when I moved back to my hometown and I looked at what my boundary line was when I was about the age that Chris is talking about. Like I could ride my bike around this one block, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at the block I could ride around and it's tiny. But to me, it was like, it took forever to ride around that block. Well, that's because my legs were only, 1.5 feet tall.
Right.
And sometimes too, Chris, like you talked
Yeah.
about the height thing.
Yeah.
Something else that I tested out a little bit as a teacher, we used to have what was called guided reading groups where
Okay.
it was what do you call that shape? Like a moon shape kind of table. I would be in the middle and the kids would come and sit around the outside so you can read with them, right? And what I noticed is, and then you could sit on the side next to the teacher. Some kids are more verbal or want to share more if they are actually beside you than right in front of you. So that's another thing to consider about you're also on their level, but where they are. Sometimes eye contact is extremely intimidating. So just being next to really helps. And then you were talking about asking those why questions.
Yeah.
So the one thing that I've learned over the last, teaching and even with adults, like
Right.
ask out of curiosity, but you're not asking to solve their
Right.
problem. You're curious
That's
so
cool.
they can share. And you're providing a space for them to share, right?
Yeah.
And so often they know the answer just like this, right?
Right,
Like
right.
they know the options. So once they start to share with you, well, I can do this, then we can add in, well, what about this idea? Would that be good?
That's a good idea.
It is.
Next time
I
he
love
hits,
that.
I'm gonna ask him, like, okay, what's a better way that you could have handled that situation instead of hitting
I really like that a lot.
Johnny?
Yeah.
Maybe you
That
just
goes
kick
to the
Johnny.
engagement, right?
Yeah.
Now they're engaged. He's making
Yeah.
him solve that problem himself. What
Right,
would I
and
do
that goes-
differently?
Yeah, and that goes back to the thing I said earlier. It's hard to rebel against yourself. So when you come up with your
I
own
like
solution
that
to a
too.
problem, you know how you created that solution. That's brilliant, Lisa.
Yeah.
It
And
is.
you,
I love that.
thank you.
Yeah.
And you were also talking before about the cell phone thing in school, and I think as a society, like we don't realize how much we're bombarding our
Mm-hmm.
kids, and then we all grow up and we're bombarded with everything,
What
whatever
happens
that
when you
is,
leave the house as an adult without your cell phone? I
everything.
just encountered it the other day. A lady I work with, her day was spun out of control because she left her phone at home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I couldn't argue with her because if I do it, I do the same thing. I'm like, oh my God, I forgot my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's I talked about going back to nature a little bit and getting my feet in the grass, but it literally is starting to look at the things
Yeah.
that bombard you in life that you don't even realize are happening. Even the simple things like my air conditioner just popped on. It's like, okay, another sound I got to continue with or
Right.
go on
Right.
with, or like seeing graffiti on a wall that it's offensive, and you're like, you take that in and go, oh, like
Right.
it's another thing that comes and bombards
It's
you.
just
Like,
input from the time you wake up now
yeah,
until the time you go to bed, unless you as a person do something about it. I make rules for myself, no phone after 9 o'clock or, stupid things like that. You have to make your own rules to get some kind of, like you said, time to meditate and get your peace of mind back and figure out, am I still who I think I am, right?
yeah. I heard a great suggestion from someone. They said, as soon as you wake up in the morning, don't look at your phone, don't look at technology, whatever. Go out and look at nature. Even if you just look at a plant, like look at a leaf, something that just it helps to ground and start your day off really great.
I
So,
have people that I look up to, and one of the guys that I look up to, he gets up and goes for a walk before he does anything. He has water, puts his clothes on, goes for a mile walk, comes back, has coffee, takes a shower. He
yeah,
starts his day after he gets some kind of time with himself, right?
yeah, yeah.
I need to get to that point.
It's an evolution, and we often, I think, put ourselves down that we're not as good as the neighbors or whatever it is. It's like, no, we're perfect. We're just gonna keep going, keep testing things out, and keep doing things. And yeah, the big thing that Scott taught me is be gentle on yourself. Be gentle on
Yes.
yourself. You're doing great.
I like that too, and I kind of do that unconsciously without putting it into words. I make sure that I take care of myself first, because if I don't, then I become the person I don't like, and nobody wants that, including me. First and foremost, me, right? I like to be nice to people. I like to help people. But if I don't protect my own peace of mind, and I think we're all three in the same boat,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're not going to be the people we want to the people that love us.
Right.
Oh,
And
100%.
I'm careful to educate those people that Chris knows, because I tell him some days I'm having a shit day. It's like,
Yeah.
it's not you, man, it's me.
No, and we all have shit days. It's how you address the shit day.
You do the same thing for me.
Yeah.
You have your days
Yeah.
too. You're
Yeah.
like, hey, man, I'm
Yeah.
off today. I'm just telling you up front. He's always honest about it.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah,
And I think
about
that's super
communication.
important.
Communication is key, right?
Well,
Communication.
is,
now
it
I
is.
know that I didn't just lose one of my best friends. I know he's just having a bad day, and tomorrow's going to be Chris again.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to worry if someone tells you up front. And it's the same thing with the children. If you're having a bad day as a parent, tell your children. It's not you.
Yeah.
Dad's having a bad day. Mom's having a bad day. My parents did that. I've told Chris 100 times, the one thing that I pride my parents on is they weren't yellers and screamers, right? They were, we're going to sit down and have a talk. And there was nothing, my mom would say, we're going to have a little talk. And there was nothing little about a little talk, right? It went
Right.
on for hours sometimes. But
Yeah.
it was a talk. It wasn't her hitting us. It wasn't her screaming at us. It was, we're going to have a conversation back and forth, and you are going to participate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things, yeah, exactly. And having that kind of calm and peace in your upbringing allowed you to have that in your body. So that's in you. It's part of you now as an
Yes.
adult, right? And so I know I was born definitely with patience, and I saw it in my mom as a teacher. My mom was my own kindergarten teacher and taught for many years, and everybody loved my mom as a teacher. And I think a lot had to do with patience. And I always thought that patience was just not saying anything, like just being, okay, I'll
Oh,
wait, and patience. But I learned patience is more about how I choose to react in a situation. That's really
nice.
what
Yeah.
patience is to me. And so I say this to people, it's like, I thought I've always been a patient person, but I really learned patience when I met Scott.
I had I had to learn it myself because I've never been married. I don't have any kids, but I became the person that I didn't like. I was negative all the time. Just I gave up on life for a while, you know? So I just wasn't interested in being happy. But when I chose to be happy again, I agree with you. It's something that you have to choose. There's always how many times in a day do you have to make a decision to be
Oh,
Yeah.
an asshole or I'm going to power through this with the best attitude possible, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So what I've adopted in my life, and you know, people always say, how can you get through this or that, or how do you do this or that by yourself? It's for this amount of time, this is what I'm doing. So if it's drudgery, I do the drudgery with the best attitude possible because I know it's going to be over in 10 hours, right? Or it's going to be over in 2 hours. And then I'm going to get to do something I like. So now I get to play my guitar. So now I try not to let that high be the highest part of my day and that drudgery be the lowest part of my day. I just try and say, this is my day, right?
Yep.
Some of it's things I don't want to do and some of it's things that I'm blessed to be able to do.
Yeah, it's finding that gratitude throughout that time as well, and and still taking the time for yourself, right? So,
Yep.
yeah, you have a 10-hour something to do. It's like, well, I love it. Then I'm going to learn something new here. I'm going to blah blah blah, whatever it is.
Or I'm with
And
people that at least I like, you know. So I was talking about work, obviously. You know,
yeah,
sometimes work sucks, but I look at it like I had some of the best friends I've ever had in my life. I met there, so at least I get to go see them, right?
yeah,
That's the forward thinking that a lot of people don't have. They're not looking at the fact that they have people that care about them there too. They're only looking at the fact that work sucks. For 10 hours, all they're thinking is, I hate being here. I hate this place. I hate this company. Not that I have a job. It's providing for my family. It's how I eat. It's how I keep a roof over my head.
yeah. The saying that I often say to myself when if those kind of thoughts come in, it's that what you resist persists.
Oh,
I like that.
yeah.
So you want to continue with that negative thought, then you're just going to get the negative.
And that's so true. And
Yeah.
that's what I got for that period of time where I got to the darkest place in my life where everything was negative and I was always right and everybody else was always wrong. And holy shit, that's not reality. Because I'm rarely right about anything.
And isn't it cool that you can look back and go, that's what I used to do. Now I choose something different.
It is. And I told Chris yesterday on that, on the pounds down podcast we were on, like, you got to become the person that nobody likes living more than you, right? You have to be able to say that.
Yeah.
I love getting up in the morning and having another opportunity to see what life has to offer and how I can help society and myself at the same time, right? How can my positivity and overcoming my demons help the next person do that so that they can enjoy a quality of life that I found, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And taking care of yourself is priority. That's another one of those visuals that I have. It's that really you can only give to others when your cup is full
Right.
and overflowing, right? So you
That's
need
so
to
true.
remember, take care of yourself. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Right on. So, where can people find you again, Lisa?
So you can find Scott and I at
Right.
forwardwalkingchoices.com.
Okay.
And you can find all three of my books on
Right.
Amazon as well, also on the Forward Walking Choices website.
Nice.
And yeah, on all social media platforms. And I know I'm on your amazing podcast, but we also, Scott and I, have our podcast as well, Soulmates and Suitcases.
Yep.
And we're excited to see you there. Video is on YouTube and audio on Spotify.
Right on.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we always wrap up the show like this. If you're having a bad day, if you're feeling depressed and suicidal, don't do it. There's a hole in somebody's heart that you're going to leave. Somebody does love you. Somebody will miss you more often, more people than you think. So find somebody that you can, as James Hetfield says, talk that shit out, man. And
Amen.
wake up tomorrow and let's start a brand new day. For Mike Michaels, I'm Chris Dunham. She's Lisa Brarely.
Brarely.
right?
Brarely.
You were
Rarely.
so close.
I was so close, man. This is the Christian Mike Show. Tell Scott we said hello. You guys
Yeah.
are an awesome
Yeah.
couple.
Thanks again, Lisa, for
and-
coming on. Tell Scott I said hey as well. Appreciate it.
and
I will.
And
Thanks,
I'll-
Chris and Mike. I appreciate it very
You're
much.
welcome.
Time
You're
was up.
welcome. Don't go away when we sign off because we got to make sure you're uploading properly. Okay.
All right.
So
Thanks.
until next time, everybody, we'll see you. Love you, brother.
Love you too. Peace.